Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It's Deb here with RI Elder Info and our Friday Friends program. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you all are having a fabulous week. I hope you hit like and comment and share this video. Doing something a little different this week. I'm interviewing someone who's not with a nonprofit, but who has an amazing story. But RA Elder Info, as some of you may know, and if you're just tuning in for the first time, RA Elder Info is the most comprehensive resource for seniors, caregivers, and professionals in Rhode Island. We like to share the information that helps people age independently, make really informed decisions for what they need in life. And we also like to promote the idea of positive aging, that it's not some slow descent into decrepitude, that we are still very vibrant as we age, and that we do still do lots of fun things. So we do Friday Friends, where I interview different folks every week. You can check later some of our previous guests. There's lots of information and resources available. What we do would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. So big shout out to Oak Street Health. Amazing services that they provide, great physicians group, everything one-stop shop under one umbrella. They've got a location in Warwick over by the Christmas tree shop, Broad Street in Providence where the old St. Joe's used to be, and Woonsocket. So if you're looking for a new doctor, a comprehensive practice, check out Oak Street Health. And also our fabulous friends over at Tamarisk Assisted Living Facility right in Warwick, right over by the Rhode Island Mall. They provide excellent care there, from pretty much independent living to individuals who require some memory care assistance. Great program, so I encourage you all to check them both out. It's because of them that we're able to keep reaching out to the community. So because we want to spotlight and have some fun in this weary month of December, I wanted to introduce you to my guest today, Debbie Gagnon. Come on up, Deb.
Hey, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So for everybody watching, I wanted to tell you, I read a story. I don't know if you wrote it or if it was an interview of you
It,
about you choosing to become an actress when you
yeah,
were slightly older than what we might think of as actresses.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote, it was a blog I wrote for an acting site I belong to. And just telling about, I was 50 when I decided I wanted to start out in this. I mean, actually, as a little kid, I was always like in the choir, went to Notre Dame School in West Warwick, and we got to go to Rocky Point, if we were in the show. And luckily, the requirements weren't that you had to be able to sing, because I cannot do that. But I wanted to go to Rocky Point, and I wanted to be in the show since I was a kid. But, I am a pretty shy type person. And the reason I kind of started getting into it when I was 50, well, first a friend called me and said, having a casting call for, um, a movie that they were going to shoot in Providence. So we went down there, and actually the first one I didn't even do. I just went with my friend. And then I got my son to do it. My son was an actor, an extra in Amistad when they did that in Newport. And so I'm pushing him to do it. I'm pushing my daughter to do it. So finally, my son said, "Mom, you're the one who wants to do it." So do it. So that's what I did. I first thing I ever was in was I was an extra in the TV show Brotherhood. It was
That
on.
filmed in Providence, right?
That was, yes, that was in Providence, and I was in that quite a few times as an extra. But the first time I was in it, I'd gone to the casting call, and the next day they called me because I'm a photographer, so they needed a photographer and they needed somebody with a camera. So I played a reporter on
Okay.
this show. I had no lines, but I was right in front. There was like only five of us, and the cameras were right in front of me, and oh, it was so fun, and it lasted about 5 hours, and in and out. So they said, "Can you come back tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know." And this time I brought my daughter, Rebecca, and but this time was a little different. This was like a 13 or 14-hour day, and
Ooh.
not right in front of the camera, just like a speck in the back of the crowd. And the thing is, when you're an extra, you can't go home. You
Mm.
can't say, "This is no fun. I'm going home." So, um, you're there. You're there for the duration. But you know what? It was fun anyway. I met tons of nice people that I'm still friends with. I mean, this was like 13 years ago, and still friends with these people. And it's been like, I don't know, it's added a lot to my life. Um, so my first big audition was, um, first you sign up for all the casting companies, and they send you emails, what they need. And it's usually like needed 20 to 30-year-old stripper type or something like that. So I'm like, yeah, delete, delete. And one day I get this email saying, needed 50-ish-year-old woman, heavy set that can be intimidating. So I'm like, what the? Oh, okay. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna send my headshot in for this. So it sat on my table for a while because I had gotten sick, like bronchitis or something. So I said, oh, at the last minute, I said, you know what? I don't care. So I mailed it anyway. I took my own selfie headshot, which, now that I'm into it, it's like people pay thousands of dollars for these headshots, right? And I'm like a selfie. But I get a phone call the next day. I mean, like maybe 2 days later, they must, and they called me and they were, uh, like, could you come in? We'd like you to come in for, an audition. And I was like, well, okay, So I went in, I think the next day or the day after. And I had to drive to Boston. And I don't know Boston. And this was before we had GPSs, all over the place. So I asked my kids to come with me. so so I drive to Boston with my kids, and I I they had sent me some um what they call sides. Sides are the lines that you're going to have to say in your audition. So they had sent me them ahead of time, and so I'm sitting, in the waiting area with my kids, my grown kids. They were grown at the time, but um, and nobody else brought their kids. But so I go in and I do my audition, and this was at CP Casting in Boston, and Carolyn, who I've come to know since then, she was like, well, she had never met me before, and she said, well, thank you for coming, I appreciate it. And so I said, could I do that again? And which I now I think, I don't know if I have the nerve to do that because you're not really supposed to do that. But she said, well, okay. So she gets back behind, the cameraman gets behind the camera again. And so I start doing my lines again. But this time I did it the way I thought it should be. Like, I added tons of swear words. I won't say them because we're live.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Um, but they were pretty saucy. And so when I was done, uh, they just both sort of like were staring at me like open mouth, like what? And they said, who did you channel to come up with that? And so I had someone in my mind, but I can't say who it was. But um, so she's looking at, so she picked up my resume that she had just put on the chair, and my resume was like selfie in the front, and then on the back, you put, all the stuff you've done. So in font this big, I had my name across the top, trying to take up room because I haven't done anything. So I was an extra that one time in Brotherhood. So if that was like in this big a font, like Brotherhood, you know. So she's like, "Well, have you ever acted before?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." And so she's like, "Oh." She says, "Well, you've been on a set, though. I see you've been on Brotherhood, so you know what a set is like." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, kind of, yeah." So she said, "Can you come back and meet, audition for the director and the producer?" So I was like, "Well, I'll have to check my schedule." And then I'm like joking out of nervousness. So, but she took me seriously, and she was like, "It's okay. Well, we'll work around your schedule." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Anytime. Just let me know." So I wasn't sure at the time, but when I went home, I looked up. It was for Gone Baby Gone, the movie Gone Baby Gone,
Mm-hmm.
and Ben Affleck was the director.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So I'm coming back tomorrow, and I'm going to do this in front of Ben Affleck. So, so as if I wasn't like nervous enough, and I don't know if I've said this before, but the reason I had to quit my last job was because of anxiety. And that's why I got into acting somewhat, because I needed to, do something big to get me out of that. So anyway, so I'm like, oh gosh, Ben Affleck, that's great. So the next day, me and my kids go to Boston again. And we're in the waiting room, and somebody comes out from the casting company and takes my script and has a magic marker, and he's like, "Well, skip this part, go to that part, do it as a monologue, blah 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 blah." And then he goes back into the room, and I'm like, "What?" And like, I could barely do it the way it was when I had to remember what to leave out. I was nervous. So upstairs was a music school in the casting. It was a music school on top, and someone was playing these drums. At least I think someone was.
That might have been your heartbeat.
And it was. My pulse was going boom 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 along with the drums, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So Carolyn comes out, the casting director, and to call me, and she's like, "Oh, Deb. Oh, Deb and her entourage. By now they know my children." So I go in, and there was Ben Affleck was sitting at a table with I can't remember the producer's name. Oh, Alan Ladd Jr., if anyone remembers him from the day. And anyway, Carolyn goes up, and Ben Affleck stands up, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Ben." And I'm like, "Are you?" So I said, "Hi, I'm Debra." And so they put me on my ex. I mean, there's not a bunch of talking at these things, you go in, and you just get to the point, you do your thing, whatever. But she put me on my ex, huh?
I was going to say, what was that like to have a casting call that says we're looking for somebody who's, X age, and you have to be intimidating and these kinds of things? What was that like as far as being in your comfort zone or not?
That was very much my comfort zone. Like, even though I'm people are kind of surprised by what I can come up with, because I can be very, very intimidating. Like, in real life, I'm just kind of like you see me right now, just regular, kind of happy, but I can be very intimidating. Like I could give you a little example, but everybody probably turn off the show. So
Go ahead, show us.
no, no, really, you'd be like, okay, all right, I'll just give you like the look. You think you owe me anything? You think you're the one? You know, that's the kind of thing I intimidating. So,
I can totally see you telling the kids something like, "Did you put your hand in the cookie jar?"
well, my son Rick's like, Ma, I learned everything I know. He's a school teacher. He teaches high school. He says, I learned everything I know from you, Ma. Like, I'm just have to stare, just like not even talk, just
Yep.
it, and you got it.
So
But
was your motivation to jump into this?
uh-huh.
Was it did it just come to you like you thought it was really cool as a kid to be in theater and that kind of thing, and then your friend just presented it, or did you like really think about it ahead of time?
Um, no, I wasn't really thinking about it too much. Like I said, when I was young, really younger, I wanted to be in the show. And then my friend Sue said, Deb, come with me. They're having a casting call, and for it might have been for brother. Yeah, it was for Brotherhood. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went with her, um, and then I think after I was the extra for that day, I was the cameraman in Brotherhood, and I just always thought I probably it's weird, but I always felt like I had the talent to act, even though I really never acted in anything. But I just thought, I think I could do this. And and it was exciting. It's an exciting thing. It's not like a boring thing. Like it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. So that's why I went to the casting call in the first place. And once I did that one day on Brotherhood, um, I was like, this is fun. I mean, like I said, even just meeting all the people. Then after that, um, I joined a lot of, well, not a lot, but one at a time, different acting classes. Like I'm a photographer and I do headshots for the actors. And so my first acting class, it was like a barter. Like I bartered headshots for this acting class. I said, well, I'll just try it and see what happens. And I really enjoyed it. I really had fun with it. And then I would join another acting class, just to get something different. And then I even started a few with my friends, and um, it's that part of it's been really fun. You know, it's fun to help other people too that want to get into it. And I've made 4 movies so far, short movies. One of them was actually um, almost feature length. The last one I made, it was a I had, and I'm also I write also. So I had written all 4 of these movies. So the last one though was based on A Christmas Carol, and they ended up. The first 2 I made was with a friend of mine, Lana. Like I it was kind of the catalyst. I kind of surround myself with people who are like, oh, we're doing this. Like my friend who got me to go to the casting call, or like she was the one that says, we're making a movie and you're going to write it. And so
So
I,
I have a question for you.
I,
So it sounds like you're very inspirational. So you think about you overcame anxiety. You took the long road to Boston. We have folks in Rhode Island who won't go to the next town
yeah,
over. You drove all the way to Boston.
yeah, all the way to Boston.
You know, you're very inspired. You do your photography. You are writing and making plays, and you're doing this as an older adult. Do you think you would have had the courage to do these things and overcome the anxiety and just push forward? Do you think you would have had that when you were younger?
Um, well, I did do, like I said, I always need that person that's saying, like, you're doing it. Like my friend Sue had gotten me to that first casting call when we were like young mothers. She's like, Deb, um, she got me to be on like the school committee. Not the school committee, we were hospitality at school. We would make the coffee during meetings
Yep.
and stuff like that. And she would always get me to do stuff that if it wasn't for her, I would have just been like too shy or too, I don't want to say like I'm so shy I can't do anything, but she just would drag me along. So,
Peer pressure.
huh? Yeah,
Peer pressure.
yeah, peer pressure. And and we what we did together was we put on two different shows, and I wrote those also to help make money for one was for to help make money for the playground at school, and one was to make money for the library. um so when you have like a goal like that, you're like, there was a little less pressure because you're like, well, as long as you're making some money for these people, if it's bad, what are they going to say? They're getting money. So, I did a couple plays with her like that, and so, but as far as going off on my own and doing things, like I just had to. It's hard to explain. It's like when you have a passion for something, you have to do it. That's it. And just do it. And who cares I could have been very bad at acting. And would I have kept up with it? Probably. Because I had fun. Like I'd go to all these events, charity events that were um, put on by a friend of mine who was the casting director for LDI casting. And but they'd be these big fundraiser events, and I'd meet like hundreds of people, and my camera, you'd say, well, how can you go take pictures of people when you're so shy and you can't talk? And it is hard for me to talk to people at a party, but when you have a camera in your hand, it's like permission to walk up to whoever you want, and they know you're there for that reason, and to take their picture and talk to them for a little while. So it was really fun, just getting out there and doing that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that you participate in charity events.
Hmm.
Do you have any particular nonprofits that you like to support?
Well, now who I'm supporting is my daughter Rebecca. Started a nonprofit a couple years ago called Rhode Island Kitten Kits, and what they do is they make these kits. It's like a cat carrier box, one of those cardboard kind, and it's filled with things to take care of kittens that they find abandoned, or the mother's not taking care of them, and any uh, veterinarian business, anything that has to shelters, they can call Rhode Island Kitten Kits and get one of these kits. Like they have little scales, little bottles with the little nipples on them and stuff like that. So that's who I've been trying to support lately.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, I
You
had
know, yeah, I mean, this has just been so much fun to really hear about what it's like to go forward. And shout out to Rhode Island Kitten Kits. Hopefully people will find them on Facebook and make a donation if they've had fun today.
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, because we're all in this together.
That's right.
And, the reality is at some point, none of us are getting out alive. So we all got to work together.
That's right.
Oh, Debbie, thank you so much for coming on today. You've been really inspirational.
Oh, thanks, Joe. I had fun.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So everybody, I hope you enjoyed this today. As you can see, at any age, you just need to take those steps to follow your dreams. You can overcome the anxiety. You can overcome taking that long ride to Boston. Um, you can do it. Just push yourself that little extra step. Even if you're not good at it, you can have fun at it. And I think that's really the important thing to remember these days when we have so much going on, is that do the things that are important to you and have fun doing it, whether you're good at it or not. I hope you all enjoyed today. I thank my sponsors, Oak Street Health and Tamarisk Assisted Living. Hopefully you have liked this page and you have shared this page, because I think a lot of us could really use some inspiration these days. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Friday. Thank you.